Hi and hello everyone. Welcome back. Through this lecture, let's take a bird's eye view, like a total overall view of what project management is. Project management is a very huge, vast process, and if we start digging into each topic, we can go on and on. So, firstly, we'll go through all the important project management terms that will help us better our understanding of the subject. We will keep on using these lexicon of terms over and over through our lectures. We will have to use them because they are relevant in our examination. Projects, deliverables, requirements, services, results. The list goes on and on. It's very vast. So what we can do to broaden this, at first we define the important key terms, right? So which are important for the exam, because this complete lecture is focused towards the exam. Let us focus the terms which are important for the exam, like life cycle, what are phases, what are phase gates, what are processes, process groups, knowledge areas, everything that is important for the exam. Let us first touch upon. So basically all the important terms from PMBOK guide, let us touch upon so that first we will be easy with the exam. So when we get to each of the topics, as we keep on learning, instead of defining each and every term, we will have a deeper understanding of what those terms are, what those areas are. So, for example, business value is a very important term, which we will also learn in this section, right? So we don't have to separately define what a business value is, right? So defining project management. This is a very, very broad statement again, but I'll try to make justice to it in this very section. I keep telling this over and over. Project management is a subject that cannot be grouped or gathered in a single document or a single book. It's a huge process and it keeps on evolving with time. So if you all can see, I have omitted the word project from the second statement here, the defining project management. And here I have mentioned that defining management. I have written here defining management instead of defining project management, because the project management is just one of the branches of the management. So instead of just project management, we have program management, we have operational management, we have portfolio management, right? So many things are available. So the list doesn't just end there. We have benefits management, we have organizational project management. So many types of managements are there. So we will learn about all these umbrella terms in this of the lecture, right? And then we will move on to project life cycle, one of the most important section in the course. We all know by now that there are 49 processes. If you don't know, I have already been repeating this over and over. 49 processes. We have to learn all these by heart to pass our PMP exam. The sixth edition of PMBOK guide presents this in a very beautiful manner. All these 49 processes are divided in a very orderly manner. They are categorized within this project life cycle. How a set of processes must be followed in each phase of the project. What a phase actually looks like. What are the review mechanisms at the end of each project, or each project phase, right? So they're actually called phase gates, by the way. So product life cycle is different from project life cycle. All these things we will learn, and then we will talk about the processes themselves. Some nice overview of the processes will be given. So again, all the 49 processes cannot be covered in this particular class today, but don't worry, they will all be covered in this course. These 49 processes, as I already mentioned, are divided into process groups and also are divided into knowledge areas. So in this section, we'll learn about what these groups are, how they are defined, how the processes are actually allocated there, and a brief overview of the knowledge areas versus the process groups, something like that, right? So, and then finally, we will end today's session by defining the role of a project manager. To put things very, very bluntly, the main role of a project manager is to get the things done, to get things moving. So in this section, let us understand about what skills and competence one should have to move the work ahead. So in today's work environment, even the CEOs have open cabins, right? So everybody is open and everybody is approachable. But does that mean that everybody on the office floor is capable to take all the decisions about the project? No, right? So the power is an important advantage that the project manager has. So we will understand how to acquire this power, how to build those strategies, and how to develop these leadership skills and all. So we will learn all these points, and then finally we'll call it a day. All right. Hope we are clear. Let's move. Project management terms. So let's first of all try and understand what the term project refers to. So we have used this term project enough in our presentation so far, and we are going to use this a lot of times again, later. So what is a project? So a project could be anything that is creating a value. We have learned in the PMBOK terms earlier that project is a temporary endeavor. So which has a fixed start date and fixed end date. So here is another definition that a project could be anything that is creating a value. We have all been working on projects since the beginning. Again, I keep on repeating this, starting from the invention of the wheel and to the launching of the rocket to the Mars. We have a lot of projects. The Taj Mahal is a project. Writing a book is a project. Creating a mobile phone app is a project. Everything around us was a project once. So I used the word was because it has a project start date and it has a project end date. After the end date, the product or the result or the service that is coming out of this result is going to the result of that project, a temporary endeavor. As I said, Taj Mahal was a project while it was being built. But once the building is erect, it is known as a product. It's not a project anymore. So what do we learn here? We call an activity a project only if it has a definite start and a definite end result to it. So the life of that end result could be longer than the project itself. So if we quote another example here, a bridge that we build could last for let's say 100 years, 150 years. But we cannot say that the project duration is going to be 150 years. So the key difference between the project and the product is that the product can have a longer life than a project. Product, service, or result. And does only the product qualify as output for the project? No. A result of a project could be in the form of a product, in the form of a service, or in the form of a result. So all three possibilities are there. Not all projects just produce tangible products. There, the service industry is also a project, and then some result. When we say result, it's like a certification. So a mobile phone is a product, right? And Amazon delivery system, if you call it, that is a service. And getting the PMP certification while you are taking this endeavor, you will be getting a certification at the end of a project. So even this can be called as a project. Sometimes there is just one of the product, service, or a result as an outcome. And sometimes it could be a mixture of two or more of these things. So for example, the software you use to code or to model something has customer maintenance service also. Right? Whenever we have a problem with the software, there is also a customer service that we rely upon. So it has both tangible product and also a service associated with the project. Moving on, initiating factors of a project. What happens here? So we understood so far that a project could be product, service, or a result. So now, why would anyone undertake a project? So what is the driving reason? What impetus is behind project? So of course, the main important motive is always going to be to earn money with the value that the project generates. But given the benefits, what else drives an organization to start a new product or a service or a result? So the PMI explains that there are four key driving factors to start a project. So first thing is going to be regulatory guidelines. Second thing is going to be a request from a customer. Thirdly, to improve the current state of a product or a process or also the result. And finally, to create or generate a new product, the organization takes a project. Business value. What happens during a project? During a project, the state of the organization changes, right? So it moves from the current state to a future state. For example, the current state is here and then it moves to a future state with added business value. So let me explain much in depth here. When a project is being handled by an organization, what happens is that it keeps on adding a lot of resources to itself. So currently the organization has, let's say, one building. At the end of the project, the organization will have a second building to accommodate all the machinery that it has procured, the additional resources that it has hired, right? So after the project is ending, there are two buildings for this office, right? So the total business value has increased after the project is executed. So to put it in project management terms, the knowledge level of the resource is also going to get increased, right? So the colleagues or the stakeholders who are working for the project, before the project and after the project, they will learn something through this project in one or other way. So even the intellectual property is also going to increase its value for the total project organization. So again, as I said, some fixed capital expenditure is also invested, which will add up like a machinery, a new set of tools. New software might be installed, an upgraded software. Maybe even, as I told you, a new building can also be constructed for the project. So in this process, the organization is adding a lot of values to itself. So from the beginning of the project to end of the project, the value of the business is increased, and hence it is called a future state of the project, right? So current state of the project, future state of the project, these are all the terms, right? When I keep stressing them out, you have to grasp them, grab them. It is very difficult to just paste them all over the screen. It is also not so important for you to learn it by heart, but just keep them in the back of the mind. The terminology that I use, I always try to stick back to the PMBOK terms. So now the PMBOK guide says that the projects enable business value creation. What does it mean? So when the organization is finished with the project, it is going to receive the benefits back in the form of a tangible values and intangible values. When we say tangible, I think you all know what tangible means. It could be something we can touch, something we can feel, like monetary benefits, the money, the stock value of the company is going to increase. That is also a tangible benefits. And as I mentioned before, new machines or new tools that are purchased by the company, all these are tangible values. And intangible benefits could be something like a brand value. Mercedes Benz is a brand, Facebook is a brand. you know all this reputation of the company will also be increased. With that said, I think we can end this section, and then we can move to defining what is a project management.